and welcome to Did I Save? It's a podcast about the way games change, and it's also about the way games change us.
Wow.
And games are changing, all right. The game shows were just out in full force last week, and we have come together to talk about games we think you should know about, games that we think are pretty cool.
Yep.
And I think you're really smart, and that's why you're here watching us right now. But I do want to advise that you keep an open mind when you're watching these, and sometimes you should go a little left field,
Indeed.
We watched a lot of different game shows.
We are actually in the same room.
Don't break the illusion. Right? If you're in my camera, then people will know this is all just no. Okay, we're gonna have to cut this out anyway. This won't make any sense at all on the podcast. So we have a little list, but first,
Before
we get started, first and foremost, I want to talk about some trends that I saw at this year's game show that I thought were interesting.
Throw it out.
A big one for me, and I've already kind of touched on this with Ryan, but something weird happened this year for me where I'm watching these games, and there are a lot of AAA games coming out from big studios that look interesting, but they're not like grab you and shake you interesting. They're not like, whoa, these games look incredible.
Yeah.
But at the end of every single game, it's like coming to Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, even if I'm not that interested in this game, I'm already paying $9 a month or whatever it is for Game Pass. I can literally just try any of these games.
Yeah.
Like the barrier to entry has become so low that it is just about the amount of time you're willing to spend.
What they're trying to do is to get you to download so many games in the Game Pass that you have to buy the Xbox expansion to get more memory. That's what's happening.
I don't know that's a strategy.
I don't think that joke fully makes sense.
You have to download too many games. You're going to have to buy the expansion.
I do have to download too many games because the Master Chief Collection is like over 100 gigs.
Yeah.
We're not all just sitting on terabytes of storage every
Indeed. Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting how my perspective on these games shifts pretty dramatically when I realize that I can play this game without any kind of financial investment in it.
Right.
And so a lot of the games that were AAA games, I'm like, I'm more of an indie guy in general because I like new ideas and I like seeing people try different things.
Yeah.
But a lot of these games I will give an honest shot. And a lot of games had demos this year, which I was very excited about.
Yeah.
Another trend that I thought was pretty interesting is there's a lot of movies in the past couple of years that are animated have started doing this kind of like, I think it's borrowed from anime where they will intentionally cut down on the frames of animation to try and emphasize a particular kind of movement. If you saw that in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and it's just very stylized.
Yeah.
But it makes it look kind of choppy. Into the Spider-Verse also did this, probably a more popular example. But a lot of games this year in their cinematic trailers were doing that style. And I'll be interested to see, I think that could work really well in a game where you're literally working off frame per second. So that's something I'll be interested to see if games kind of bring that more into the mechanical side of things instead of just the cinematic side. But are there anything in particular that stuck out to you guys that you thought was worth
since
noting?
you brought that up, South of Midnight.
Yes.
Looks
has a very cool style.
Incredible. It's got a cool Louisiana dilapidated setting, which I think is interesting rather than just
And it's very it leans heavily into the kind of mysticism of you're riding on this giant toad that's talking to you in a Louisiana accent.
Yeah.
And you're in the trailer that I saw, they're kind of, she's riding him and they're moving through the bayou, but then he talks about this alligator that you're going to have to fight if you want to get past this area, because I don't think they're looking for it, but it shows up. And then it turns out it's not an alligator. It's a city on the back of an alligator.
Right.
That's the scale of creatures that you're working with in this game. Florida.
Oh, yeah.
but further east, I guess. So it looks really interesting. The style is really cool. The characters seem really interesting.
Yeah.
Combat looked, obviously I haven't played it, but it looks a little floaty, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But it definitely had enough charm and enough character that I want to see a lot more about that game anyway. Yeah. Let's talk about the Xbox Games Showcase first.
Okay.
We'll do it by show.
Yeah, that'll work. That sounds good.
We'll start with Doom.
Doom.
Who doesn't think Doom looks cool?
Looks incredible. Sounds incredible.
Doom looks like the best Doom game ever
The best dadgum Doom game.
Dadgum, man. That looks like a good Doom game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You get a shield this time that you can throw and bounce around, and I love that.
I do actually love that too. Yeah.
You have a shotgun, even though it takes
place
in
this time.
Like medieval times
Yeah.
with all these huge. At the end of the trailer, there's like a mech that you're in, just punching stuff.
Makes no sense. But
you're
who
flying
cares?
on the back of some weird bird creature that's like shooting lasers out of its mouth.
Yep.
It's very Doom.
It's feeding another demon lasers.
Feeding is a very polite way of putting it. Yeah, I'm not sure that monster will ever eat again.
Yeah.
That might be their last meal.
Yeah.
But they definitely are doing that.
Yeah.
Need an antacid.
We'll see how that goes, but that's one of those games where I'm like, sure, man. I'll always play another Doom game if it's by that studio.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped about that, but it's kind of a known quantity. So
well, it's like this is the best Xbox showcase they've had in 5 years.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I mean,
with
they've had a lot of, because the problem is they announced Scalebound and a remake of Phantom Dust and all these other projects, and then just killed them all off.
Yeah,
and then they haven't had anything like.
Well, for
a while
they've been working overtime to burn all their goodwill anyway with all the new studio closures and stuff like that. So I wasn't really going in there with a lot think
I don't think anybody was, and I think that's why everybody was so surprised.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure none of these are exclusives that we saw. They'll be on Xbox, but I don't think I saw anything that is Xbox exclusive that I was like, they're back on track.
Yeah,
they're doing it. So, and like you said, hold your breath for anything that's being made by a studio that Microsoft owns, because I think we've talked on a past episode about them just burning perfectly good studios, Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
I'm a little more optimistic about the Fable game coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will that be an exclusive? They always have been.
Exclusive is not on PS5. But I mean, it'll definitely be on Game Pass PC.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, it's hard to talk about console exclusives.
Xbox and PC are kind of becoming one.
That's another big shift since I've sat down and watched a week's worth of game show.
Yeah, no kidding.
Announcements is PC is a totally different monster than it used to be. It used to be considered, kind of its own console. Like that was where stuff like RTSs came out and to some extent like MMOs, CRPGs. But now it's just an extension of Microsoft.
Right.
Like that they seem to be very consciously putting everything they can on PC.
Yeah.
So you even see Diablo on Steam now. You see the Master Chief Collection on Steam now. So yeah, and you're even seeing PS5 games on Steam.
And I'm in favor of that. Like, I love that.
Yeah,
break down all the walls. Yeah. But it does put their console in an awkward position where they don't seem to really need it all that much. If you want a console, it's good to have Microsoft's console as an option.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to invest in a PC.
Right.
But overall, it's like you use a PC for so many things. Who doesn't have a PC? And if you pay $18 a month, you can stream Xbox games. So you don't even need the hardware anymore.
Yeah.
So they're really kind of... I know we just trashed them, but they are kind of attacking from all sides in terms of accessibility, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, one thing I think, other than just saying it's coming to Game Pass, it was saying it was coming to Game Pass and PC.
Yeah.
So like Game Pass to PC, because some games on Game Pass you can't play on your PC.
Right, that's true, yeah.
So they kind of emphasized that basically after every single game they showed. I think they were really trying to push this PC agenda that they've been doing lately.
Yeah,
so, which
that could be
to
true.
Everybody's benefit is only better.
I agree.
Do so.
Yeah, definitely, because I haven't had a console since PS4.
I've got a Series X.
I just don't need one.
I'll probably be playing a lot of the newer stuff on the Series X. That I feel comfortable using a controller for, like Fable for one, or
But that's what's nice is they give you the option. Now.
Yeah,
they're really trying to lean heavily into that.
Yeah.
So another game that I thought looked really interesting, but don't have much to say about, is State of Decay 3.
Okay. State of Decay 3.
That is a cool, like the trailer that I watched was mostly cinematic, but it had a big focus on cooperative gameplay and like people get together from different spaces that they're not necessarily a team, but it was like when someone needs help, everybody shows up to help them.
Right.
Which I'm sure will play out very differently in a gameplay sense, but
you're really making sure that mic works.
It's my fault for getting his mic hot. Okay.
No.
But I just think that game is the kind of game that when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'd play that with Ryan.
I thought State of Decay 2 did a lot of things right. I never played the first one, but the second one did a lot of things right.
I never really got into it, but I've heard a lot of the people that have played it are like, it's a jank game with a ton of good ideas.
Yeah, you have to have friends to play it, I think, and that's why I ended up not playing anymore, is because no one was playing it with me.
That's tough.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's very tough by yourself because there's a lot to manage. So if you have friends, they can help pick up that slack.
Yeah.
And it becomes a lot more manageable and a lot more fun.
And there's a lot of like sending NPCs to do stuff as well, right? But NPCs have relationship dynamics with you where they can like leave if you're not doing what you want.
There's like quests that you just don't have time to do, and then there's like relationships that just fall, and there's people that die
because of the you mean because of the base building element, that like there's just so much stuff to do
because of everything
on a time frame that you just can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're constantly needing some sort of resource, or you will lose. So you're constantly having to go out and hunt, and then you constantly have quests that each have time limits on when you can accept them. If you run out of time, you can no longer accept that quest, and then people will not like you because you didn't do a certain thing. So it's just like you constantly have 10 things to do, and you have to pick 3 of them. So if you have friends, a party of 4 would just be amazing, because your list of things doesn't climb. You just have less things to do with more friends. So I'm interested to see what State of Decay 3 does. I will be watching out for it and seeing what updates are coming.
Will be. They have my attention, but I guess not my curiosity at this point. I need to see more mechanics of how that, like what they've added, how it's going to look minute to minute.
Yeah. Every time I've played it, I've always been like, I don't know. It's just like, it's never really hit for me. So I'm hoping maybe this time it will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
It was kind of the zombie game I was looking for.
Right.
If I had friends to play it.
I've never been super interested in zombies in general. Like, I don't find zombies compelling as a concept most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a very interesting twist on their behavior or something. But State of Decay has a lot of other mechanics, and like I'm interested in the people in a zombie apocalypse.
I didn't like
I think it focuses more on that.
I didn't like the base building, but it was a more realistic base building where it's like you're not gonna play in a zombie apocalypse or live in a zombie apocalypse and build bases like Minecraft, but it was more realistic where you like take over like a gas station and you like fortify it and things like that.
Okay.
That sounds potentially interesting to me, depending on like, do you have to abandon that or like
you had to clear out the hearts. There's like, I don't remember what they call them, but they're basically like these big hearts, and you'll know you're near one because there's like red mist in the air, and you have to shoot it and blow it up, and then that will reduce the zombie count in that area.
Okay.
Okay. I like the idea of systematically making a place slightly less dangerous by doing lots of different things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, each thing you do helps a little bit towards relative safety. That, as a concept, sounds interesting. But,
right.
like you said, we'll just have to see what it plays out like. So, a controversial pick for me. I've heard nothing but people complaining about this game. But the new Dragon Age game,
indeed,
which is a cinematic trailer, everybody's complaining about the visual style. Like, a lot of people, I don't see any problem with it. Like, I don't really understand why people are so disgruntled about the visual
They say it
style.
looks too much like Fortnite, like high cheekbones kind of style, instead of it being more dark and gritty like the original, like Origins and such.
If by dark and gritty you mean like really like janky looking character models, then yeah, it does have less of that.
Yeah.
But the last Dragon Age came out a long time ago,
Yeah.
and didn't exactly have its own unique art style.
Like 10 years ago, I think.
Dragon Age 2 had a pretty unique art style to it.
Mm-hmm.
But Inquisition was just like very boilerplate fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It
was
was like
the
a
writing
medieval
that made it
fantasy.
interesting.
Like,
Yeah. So I don't like. It's not like they just went in a totally different direction. They just went in a direction. To me,
The thing about, for me, as I've never really gotten into the Dragon Age games a whole
Same.
lot. Like I like the idea, but every time I played them, they just never hit.
they're
Maybe like 10 hours for
slow
each of them
in a lot of ways.
But the combat has never been the same each game, and I think that kind of frustrates fans because now they're going basically all action RPG. They've showed the gameplay trailer on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, and so
I don't know. I like there are elements of the Dragon Age series that I want, and that's a character-driven RPG,
Right,
with like decision-making trees that matter.
Yeah.
And beyond that, like because it's always been different, they can kind of do whatever they want in terms of like me gauging my excitement. It doesn't hinge on, well, why can't I cast a fireball every 10 seconds and watch my party like do sword attacks that just go straight through the enemy's animation? Like they're characters. Like none of it has ever been
that great.
that great. It really, like, you are playing it despite that in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It's just
like Inquisition's combat never hit for me.
No.
Because you're swinging if you're a sorcerer and you're just swinging your staff around. Like, it looks kind of
boring.
cool. Looks cool at first
Yeah.
for the first 5 minutes, and then you're like, okay, why?
But you don't really like in those games, and hopefully the real-time combat in this one will be a better version of that. But in Inquisition, it's like it looks like you're doing something, but you can't do a whole lot to pivot the pace of the combat.
Correct.
There's not a lot you can do to speed it up or slow it down. It's always just these attacks do these numbers. You cast them as soon as you can, like an MMO. in
Right,
that sense,
yeah,
that it's,
yeah.
And that's not
That's a good way to
particularly
put it.
compelling to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not crying any tears over the shift in direction of it.
Yeah.
But I think they're overwhelmingly, the age of the internet has made it to where people like complaining.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
They just find joy in being negative about
Yeah.
things, or at least they feel like it's joy, but it's actually just like commiseration of
Yeah.
the world and how bad
Yeah.
everything is. It's like watching these trailers, like the chat. Oh my God. I turned every chat off because it's like everyone is so overwhelmingly that things that I was genuinely excited about. It was just like L all the way down.
A barrage of
I'm like,
negativity.
why?
And I think people feel like they seem more intelligent when they disagree.
It's
with,
cool not to like
Yeah.
this.
Right, I
Yeah.
agree. Well, that was one thing. My frustration about Summer Game Fest is that people were like, "Oh, dude, that was an F. If I had to give that rating to be an F," and I'm like,
what would
"Dude,
it take to
the
get
fact
an
that
A?
I don't know." But, yeah, but I'm like, the fact that we're even getting still game shows. I mean, that's a miracle in itself because E3 is no longer. It's
That's
all
what-
disbanded, and I'm like, I'm excited. It's like, we had the state of play. And it's like, just because it doesn't have every single game that you want, like it doesn't have the Wolverine game, it doesn't have all this other stuff. It's like, dude, it's because that takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, Dragon Age, the new Dragon Age, or the Inquisition came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So
and they're
what-
like, well,
what
why
did
isn't
you
the
want?
combat like Baldur's Gate 3? And I'm like, because they've been working on it probably for 10 freaking years.
because when they made that last game,
Yeah.
they were done with it, and then they spent 10 years thinking, how can we change this for the better?
Right.
And in general, people see trends in games that they want to follow, either because marketing tells them, hey, this makes the number go up, and if
Right.
you want money for your game, then we got to do what the publisher wants us to.
Right.
Or they're like, oh, this is just a better way of doing this old system.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Right.
Like, I don't really, the negativity in games, I think, comes strongly from just a culture of negativity that has kind of permeated the internet. And so I really tried to I just close the chat.
Yeah.
Just go watch the trailer and be like, is this something that seems interesting to me?
Yeah.
And honestly, if you think AAA games are just like collectively bad, there's probably an argument for that like AAA games have gotten overall a little worse,
Yeah.
or a little too similar
I think
to each
the
other.
huge thing about AAA games is just the amount of money they ask for after you've bought the game.
That's the thing, right?
And
Like
that's the
with
trend
mobile
with
games
AAA.
or with anything with microtransactions, games as a service,
Yeah.
Fortnite, stuff like that. They can do the things they do because the money is pouring in from people buying microtransactions
Right.
all the time.
Yeah.
If you make a game like Forsaken, which has plenty of its own problems, I understand that. But that game is going to be what it is when it comes out, and it's probably not going to change very much, and it's probably not going to change very many times because they have to move on to the next game because there is no source of income for them from that game anymore.
Right.
That's how games used to be.
Right.
And there's a very romanticized image of video games in people's heads where they're like, I wish it was like when Super Nintendo was around and games came out finished and they were good and they were complete. That's not true, bro.
Yeah.
Those games were 2 hours long, and
Yeah.
half the time they were a glitchy mess of some licensing thing.
and they
that
took
was
a
cash
fraction
in.
of the time to make.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
3 people making a game.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like games are not the same monster that they used
Yeah.
to be.
And they would just reiterate the same games over and over and over and over
yeah,
again.
Yeah, and
the
it's
same
like
assets.
I hope you want a platformer if
Yeah.
you're going to buy a Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Like there's just so many things that are just a situation where it's rose-colored glasses.
Yeah,
People just
indeed.
imagine that things were better.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because it's easy to forget the little details between those good moments, and nostalgia just kind of colors that
Yeah.
entire memory.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, stop being so negative about games. There are
Yeah.
plenty of great games out there, and
Yeah.
if you feel like AAA games are getting worse or just leaving a zone that you care about, where
Yeah.
you're just not interested in what those games are, indie games are up and at 'em,
Yeah.
bro.
Or-
Indie
Yeah.
games are better than they've ever been,
Yeah.
and
Indie
they're only
games-
getting better.
Indie games, AA games, you know what I mean? They're pushing some kind of, they're trying to try other different narratives with a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah,
Huge game that we all talked about was the Claire Obscure. It's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Looks
art style
incredible.
looks so gorgeous.
Cinematically, it's just very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this
The
very
execution of
ethereal feeling of
Yeah.
like these like impossibly high mountains and these very strange looking trees that are like everything kind of looks like it's like slowly incorporating into each other, you know what I mean? Like it's like everything is not necessarily fragmented, but it's like being visually pulled apart
Right.
in a weird way
Yeah.
that looks super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the concept sounds really interesting. It's like a
Yeah, they kind of throw out the storyline there, just like
Yeah, there's like
there's a lot of mystery to it.
Well, yeah, like it sounds like the kind of they tell you just enough, I think, to kind of pique your interest. That there's
Right.
like a painter that is
Yeah.
this being that wakes up and paints a number on this like distant island that
Yeah, I
you
used to
can
do
see. Yeah, back in my youth, I was the painter.
Yeah.
So, and then every year, a generation of people disappear when she paints this new number, and it's like
Yeah.
counting down, which I think is important.
It's erasing
is.
everyone of that age
Right.
that she paints.
I think so, because he
Yeah.
says like everyone of that age disappears.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if he meant age as in like cultural, like segment of the population or what. But anyway, so they keep sending these expeditions of people out to stop this painter, and they never succeed.
Yeah.
But the combat is this really interesting mix of like it looks like Final Fantasy style turn-based combat.
Yeah.
But it's got like the reaction subsystem of like
Yeah.
getting a perfect hit will do bonus damage, which
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
like that style.
and I'm not a huge fan of. But
I love it.
I don't like what's it called? Where A pops up on the screen, you have to hit
You
A.
know, fun is what you're thinking of. You don't like fun.
Push A. You pushed A. Good job.
Yeah, but did you push it at the right time?
Oh my
Yeah.
bad.
I think that might be why you not like
The combat reminded me of Legend of the
Quick time
Dragoon.
event. Quick time event.
Oh, sure, yeah. I
Yeah,
could
where
see
you
that,
actually
yeah.
had it hit it in succession, and that's you increase your combo.
Different
by doing
attacks have different amounts of
and the
quick
speed
time
of the
and
attacks.
different-
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
but
you perform different attacks.
I don't know.
It also looked like you could dodge and you could counter
Yeah.
if you hit the,
Well,
which
that's
makes
what
it
I
more
like.
engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I just
think-
don't like when they throw the button up on the screen and they tell you to push A.
I mean, I get it.
I
but,
don't like it. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
You feel like it breaks immersion a little bit.
It
because
definitely does, but it just does. It also doesn't.
I hate when they put the names of your attacks up on the screen in a turn-based system. I'm like, I've memorized all these already.
It's like push A and your character will reload their gun and then fire a beam in the air, and then that's going to target a satellite, and then the satellite would shoot a beam, and you pushed A. You did all that. Good job.
Are you describing JRPGs right now?
Yeah.
No, just like any game.
I hate when you press a button and then like the dragoon jumps in the air with the spear and then comes back down with the spear. All I did was press A, bro. I want to really.
It's like if a movie was like, hold on, Tom Cruise is about to do something. Push A first
for him to jump.
Yeah,
you missed that jump. Wow. Tom Cruise broke his ankle, man.
Such a good game.
Okay,
like just let the thing happen. And anyone can push A.
Yeah,
I hate to tell you this, but if I could watch a movie with Tom Cruise in it and then I missed the button prompt and he fell and broke both of his legs, I would like that movie so much more.
Yeah, that would be a good movie. Yeah, I take back everything.
Yeah. But it looks really interesting. Cool story. Great art style.
Super into it. I'm ready for it.
And combat that at least one of us is interested in. So.
Oh, I'm interested in the combat.
Yeah.
I just don't like that specific thing.
Yeah,
like,
okay, I get you.
I can definitely get past that for sure.
Yeah. Maybe you'll be able to turn off the QuickTime stuff. Maybe it'll just, if you want, you could just have turn-based.
Well, it's just, whatever. A button should do a thing.
Yeah. I'm just saying it looks cool. You guys should check it out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Looks gorgeous. Looks truly next gen.
We talked about South of Midnight. Flintlock.
Flintlock
is a cool game that has a demo out now that you can play. I have played.
I don't know if the demo is on consoles.
I played it on PC. So
I only played it on PC as well. So.
But it's really interesting. The combat feels a lot like Remnant, which is, for those who haven't played Remnant, feels like a Dark Souls game that's a little floatier.
It's Gears of War meets Dark Souls.
Yeah, and in the trailer it looks much more cinematic, which it can be for sure.
Mm-hmm. This one definitely doesn't have it's not a cover shooter.
No, not at all.
So
it's not. It's very. So it takes place in it's like thematically like 1700s swashbuckling kind of aesthetic, like technology, all that stuff. Flintlock. She has a flintlock pistol.
Yeah.
And you're playing a character who basically is going into this zone. There's like this giant bubble enclosing it, but the dead keep coming out of it.
Yeah.
And so you're leading an expedition to try and stop them. Mm-hmm. But what you actually end up doing is inadvertently destroying the barrier. And it turns out that all these gods lived inside the barrier, and they were at least somehow responsible or connected to all these dead coming out, but now they just have free reign in your world.
Yeah.
So you make a deal with a lesser god to help you kill all of the gods that you inadvertently let out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's got like a God of War element to the open world exploration that's really cool. Mm-hmm. The combat, like I said, is a little floaty, but you get a lot of options in terms of how deep the mechanics are. Enki is the god that you strike a deal with, and he does a lot of cool stuff. Like, he has a dedicated button where if you target an enemy and press it, he'll like shock them and build up a meter above their health. And the higher that meter is, the easier they become to kill. It basically lowers their defense.
Yeah.
But you can spread that out across multiple enemies, or you can triple down on one enemy or whatever. And there's a whole thing with multiple skill trees, and you can give him new abilities and stuff. Really interesting, really like fun to just like play around with combos and stuff.
Yeah. It has great movement too. You can do like this crazy triple jump. Mm-hmm. It's just fun.
Yeah,
seems
really
like a lot of fun to explore, and movement seems to be more kind of like capitalized on.
Well, that's the thing. So my partner was playing it, and she was just like getting the hang of it. She had just started trying it, but the jump is like very forgiving in the sense that like she's going from platform to platform, and she like jumps like to the right of the platform.
Yeah.
And even though she's basically jumping away from the platform, the character model was close enough that she just grabbed the ledge on her.
Okay, nice.
So I like that kind of like...
Instead of like smashing her side of her face and completely
or just
like
falling and you're like, why did you
grab it?
So
I
like
be a double-edged sword though, where you're making an intentional movement and your character goes, I'm gonna grab that ledge instead.
Yes, it didn't. So
which is Assassin's
what I
Creed.
played, I was going to say, it does not have that Assassin's Creed element of where you're like, stop, I literally am telling you to do the opposite of this.
I want to climb over the window, not through the window.
Why did you just jump off the roof of this building and die?
I have to climb all the way back up.
Yeah. But the story of that sounds really interesting. I like the art style. It's not like super original, but I think the tone of it fits really well.
Yeah.
The monster designs are super cool. I really like the way
that's
that
what I
they
loved
design
about
monsters.
Remnant was excellent monsters.
Yeah.
And this one, there's like a character that runs a coffee shop, and you'll clear out these little villages, and then once you do that, they'll give you new quests and stuff. And the first one you clear out, you go into the coffee shop, there's like a person in this big brown cloak. They look super tall, but they're laying over it like they've died.
Yeah.
And there's like a mask laying on the table in front of them, but when they stand up, they're like 9 or 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And these two black arms, like Studio Ghibli style,
for sure,
come out of the hood and pick up the mask. And it looks like they're going to put it on, but they have no head. So it just floats where they put it, but their hands become the neck.
Yeah, it's very
hold
cool.
the mask there, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And there's just lots of cool designs like that.
Yeah.
For creatures and monsters and characters and all sorts of stuff. So that alone made me really interested, and it's on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. It's a AA game, and it is made by the people who made Ashen. So
Yes, I didn't play Ashen that I'm aware of, but I might as well go back now, right? Now I can play it before the new one comes out. Really quick, Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark looks good.
I can't believe that game exists. It's real.
I agree.
It's happening.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden.
But it looks like you can have multiple paths and scenarios, but you can like record people's voices and then play those voices for like security measures. I think that's cool. I think the traversal looks really interesting.
That's why I said Deus Ex, because it looks like mentally the style of Deus Ex.
Yeah. And I know you love Deus Ex.
Like multiple approaches to solving a problem.
Yeah.
A lot of like detective stuff in the sense that you're like hacking stuff and
seems more
eavesdropping
espionage
on people. Yeah, very espionage focused. But the gunplay still looks really good.
Yes.
There's like cover based, but it's still first person.
Yeah.
I'll be watching that game. It looks really cool. Fragpunk.
I'm not super into shooters, but this shooter looks pretty dope.
Really interesting ideas. So imagine Valorant. It's a 5-on-5 PvP shooter game. Anyway, 5-on-5 multiplayer shooter, but you get these cards that completely change some element of the game. So it's got this really cool like graffiti, super high contrast art style. There's one card that makes like super tall grass just grow everywhere on the map all of a sudden, so you can like hide in the grass. There's one that makes every enemy's head super big, so it gets really easy to do headshots.
Right, yeah.
There's one that turns the world upside down. So it's like very significant changes to the level. And I don't know if you like build a deck or if you get these things, randomly throughout the match.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that's like power ups you find or like rewards for getting kills, or if you can go in with a deck.
Yeah, like how do you get new cards once you've used them?
Right.
How do you resupply?
Can I just start a get match with the game and then smash 5 cards and watch chaos?
Yeah, how many can you use at once? Yeah. And like if you can make the deck ahead of time versus you get them at random and have to figure out the best way to use them, which I would probably prefer because I don't want to play that one guy who figured out the perfect combination of cards and just crushes them all at the beginning of the match. And I'm stuck upside down with a big head while he's hiding in the grass. But
and you have a grass allergy.
And then you start sneezing, so they know exactly where you are. But it looks like it has a ton of potential. So 2025, it's not coming out.
Nah. Which is probably best because there's a lot of shooters coming out this year.
A lot of games that were announced are 2024 games this year, which is really cool.
Some are already freaking out that they talked about. There was the DLC for Alan Wake, and they were like, oh, it's out.
Yeah,
it's next day.
So I didn't put that on my list, but that looks really cool because you play as the director from Control in the Alan Wake world, which I'm really interested in because I really wanted to see more of her story.
Okay, cool.
So I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
But is it like a side story or is it DLC in the sense that I have to buy Alan Wake to play this.
You probably not.
Because I've never played any Alan Wake game.
The first one was great. I don't know how well it's aged. I know they did a remaster of it, though.
Yeah, I haven't played the remaster.
I haven't played the remaster, but I loved playing the first one.
I mean, the people who've played 2 seems to really like it.
I haven't played 2 yet, but I want to. It's been on my wish list.
I think I'm excited to see them bring those 2 universes together in a much more direct way. And apparently the new Max Payne game that they're working on also exists in that universe.
In the same universe, yeah.
So,
well, it's like Alex Casey, one of the detectives from Alan Wake 2, looks like the old Max Payne.
oh, interesting.
So this
it's
is becoming Fortnite.
Huh?
This is becoming Fortnite.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think
Why is Captain America out here?
the guy from
hitting
Quantum
statues?
Break is also in part of the DLC.
I guess that makes sense.
So it's like all their universes are tied together, but
They
somehow
seem to do it in a really compelling way.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
not in like a forced, we just want you to play these other games kind of way. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not Super Smash Brothers.
no.
But yes, that game looked really cool. Cute little game called Winter Burrow about like a mouse that you like have to survive the winter by growing food and stuff, like a farming sim. Looks really cool. Check that out if you guys want. More importantly, Mecha Break looks pretty dang cool.
It does look cool.
Yeah, I will say every time I see a mech game, I get a little excited, and then I lose
disappointed.
interest.
And then you get a little sad.
Yeah, after trying it, like the mech designs are just always so great, but then the gameplay is just not there for me.
This one looks
we'll see. This one looks
sick.
the most promising of ones. I didn't even play Zone or
Armored Core?
Armored Core. What was it called? Ruby
Fires of
Fires of
Rubicon.
Rubicon.
Yeah.
Fires of Rubicon.
I didn't either, but just because of what else
Fire
was
Red.
coming out around that time. It was
Ruby
just like
Sapphire.
too many games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so this one is basically like, it looks like a hyper customizable, like tons of parts, tons of color combinations, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like very personalized.
I'll download a game just to build a mech and color it.
You know I will.
If you give me some good customization options.
But it looks like it has some depth to it that I haven't seen in other mech games, in the sense that, so first of all, you transform into a jet. All of them do. And there's like dog fighting in the air. It looks like tons of like missiles, like dodging missiles, and like very bombastic, very fast paced. But then at any point in time, you can transform and fight on foot.
Can I transform into a fire truck?
DLC.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Taxi,
but-
microwave.
Yeah.
Looks hyper customizable in the sense that I
gonna
said
get 'em for
DLC, Ryan. Don't
breakfast.
push it.
Yeah.
I offered to work with you on the fire truck. We're not doing a microwave.
Yeah.
But like one of the mechs in the trailer, when they're fighting, the armor on it like explodes off of it so it can move faster. Like I love that idea of like having a mech that can fight in 2 very different modes of combat.
Yeah.
By
Just
like
as your
permanently
opponent-
sacrificing one for the other. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Just as your opponent was figuring your playstyle out.
You have to go all out just this once. Yeah. It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
That game's also 2025 though, so hold your breath, I guess. Avowed
About.
Yeah.
looks really interesting.
Everybody's- we're holding our breath
It's
for
been in
this
the
one.
works for a long time. Like it's Xbox was talking about it when
It looks like
everyone
might
was
and magic. Like you have a spell cast, like a spell book in one hand and a weapon in the other. So
Yeah.
you're like, I guess by default you're like a, what do they call that? Sword mage. I
Battle
guess,
Mage.
Battle
Everyone
mage.
was waiting on Elder Scrolls 6, and then this company was like, Avowed. Did you everyone play Avowed instead? And then it like
play
never
these.
came out, and now they're finally.
I hadn't actually seen it until I saw this trailer for it. Like I'm sure I heard about it a long time ago, but it was in the back of my brain.
Well, they actually came out and said that they, their first trailer that they showed for it, or the combat was kind of janky.
Okay.
And that there was a lot of online talk about it, and they actually went back and reworked it, and so everybody enjoyed this trailer a whole lot more.
It
They
looks
said,
really
"This-
the way you're constantly combining attacks looks really interesting, and of course, with a lot of different spells, you're going to have a ton of room for improvising or creating a very different build.
Yeah.
And like artistically, it looks really cool. I think it's really interesting. It also has good monster design, which is important.
Yeah.
Nothing about it is just like wow, this is so different and unique.
Yeah, this is the game.
But it's just
but sometimes you just want a good RPG.
Yeah. Sometimes I just want to like action, like it's first person, so it's like action. First person spell casting is already a pretty niche genre.
Yeah.
So more of that is always good. But this one looks like very action centric. Like the pace of it is very fast.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
And it is Obsidian.
And it is Game Pass, I'm sure. So
I'm sure it is too. Yeah.
So what's the harm in getting excited, right?
Yeah.
Stalker 2.
Stalker 2. Mm-hmm.
I really like the structure of Stalker games, like the open world, fending for yourself. Very strict.
This is the one that is multiplayer, right?
I don't know
I don't
the
know
answer
either.
to that.
Yeah.
Is it the Shadows of Chernobyl?
This is Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl.
Heart of Chernobyl. Okay. This one I've been excited for a long time because it was
dope. Have you've played the other Stalkers?
No.
At this point, you would need a significant amount of mods which do exist.
For a while, I got them confused with the other game that looks like them.
Remap, formerly known as Waypoint, did a Twitch series on doing the old Stalker games, but with a bunch of mods to try and modernize it to see how it holds up. So if you guys are interested in playing that until 2 comes out, that was a really cool series of streams that they did.
Gotcha.
But this one looks really nice.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just love that tone. I love that universe. There's always sorts of like super weird stuff happening because you're fighting in an area that's so heavily irradiated.
Yeah.
So you're fighting like at one point in the trailer, he's like fighting a ball of energy that's like pulling concrete off the walls and stuff. So it's not like Escape from Tarkov where it's just a bunch of people scavenging and fighting.
But it's got a lot of horror elements.
Yes, it's got a lot of like in that, like,
which is why I want to play it multiplayer.
I don't know what you'd call it, like organic horror, where it's like there's a science behind the horror.
Yeah,
that I like a lot.
I just want to hear my friends screaming in the distance and trying to figure out what killed them. That's all I want to do.
Well, we did that once.
Yeah, and it was a blast.
Yeah,
you died from a lightning strike while warning about lightning strikes.
Yeah, don't get hit by lightning like it.
Guys, yeah, that was amazing. So that looks really cool. I don't have a lot to say about that either, but just keep an eye on it
for sure.
That's Xbox Game Showcase. Let's jump to Devolver because that's what we were talking about earlier. They had a ton of cool announcements and games. One really fun announcement is that they're doing a free update for Cult of the Lamb with
I saw that.
play.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's got local co-op.
I know
play.
your brother loves that game.
Yeah,
and I feel like he and his wife would love that game.
Yeah, and Haley is interested in playing that with me now.
Cool.
So.
And it was a cool trailer for it. They did like an animated like cutscene that kind of
pulls his other player out of the water.
He's like all beat up and a drop of his blood falls in a puddle and like creates a portal, like a spell.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But that's not on my list, so we're not talking about that anymore. No. Stop talking about it.
Yeah.
The Crush House, which is a really so we've already talked about
and
this.
We're not talking about this anymore because it's not on my list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks crazy.
There's a demo of this available now, and I've played a couple hours of it. I honestly, the trailer, I was like, meh, it's a funny concept, but it doesn't seem that engaging. So it's like a late 90s dating show. You run, and the point is that there's something weird and creepy happening in the basement of this big mansion up in the like California mountains, this big beautiful space. But there's some weird creepy thing happening downstairs. And in order to figure out what that is, you have to keep the show on the air. So each day it's random which demographics want to see.
Yeah.
But you're not ever supposed to talk to the contestants. They tell you that's like one of 2 rules is never talk to them. But at the end of the day, you can turn the recording off and you can go talk to them, and they'll be one of the ladies is like, my 2 nieces and nephews, I told them not to watch because this show is too corrupt for them.
Yeah.
But I know they're watching it anyway. So could you maybe not show people's butts?
Nice.
And you can accept a quest from her where you for a whole day, you don't record any butts at all.
Okay.
But then, of course, the next day, one of my demographics was butt.
Yeah.
And you can ignore one out of, however many you have to
Right,
please.
yeah.
But it was like, it's pretty tight how much you have to record always getting points. It's pretty hard to actually complete it.
Yeah.
But you earn money for showing, anytime you stop recording, it'll automatically start showing commercials. So you have to do that certain amounts of time because the money you get from commercials is how you buy new stuff for the mansion.
Oh, okay.
To get them to do new things together or whatever.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of stuff going on, and the trailer doesn't really show any of that.
Yeah.
It just
not
looks like
at all.
this off the wall dating sim
Yeah.
with some kind of
It
horrible
looks like
secret.
you're just like, it doesn't show you the points or leveling up or demographics, or it just shows you people hugging and kissing and hugging
fighting.
and kissing and fighting.
And that's it.
and then for a split second shows this crazy looking brain connected to a bunch of cables at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's it.
So I really wish they
I think the trailer was meant to pique your curiosity. Like, here's this game. Oh, it's not what you think. You should play it.
I think they could have done a better job of that.
Exactly.
But I would recommend anybody go check out the demo.
Okay.
And I think you can play through a whole season in the demo. I failed. I couldn't get past day 3.
Oh, okay.
But you have a whole selection of people at the beginning. But in the demo, you only have 4.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of the hook, is that you can keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
But you just can't see all the different types of people you could recruit.
Until you give me your money.
The other one's Tenjutsu, which we don't have to talk about.
Yeah, looks
for
good.
super long, but
Just looks like some fun.
it's made by the
does.
guy who made Dead Cells.
Yeah.
And you can really see that in the visual style. The way the combat is super flashy, and every hit drops frames for a split second to make it look really cool.
Yeah, and we all agreed. We just also want an anime that's about Tenjutsu. So
Yeah.
For sure. Yes, it's got the cutscenes have
call it Tenjutsu Kaisen.
looks like a 90s anime where they still hand drew everything.
Yes.
Ignore that.
I love that style too. That 90s
Jujutsu Kaisen
anime.
is the only Kaisen I need. And so it's super cool. Looks really stylistic. The combat's going to be great because it's Dead Cells developers.
Looks fun. Yeah.
And then Possessors also has this super flashy looking combat, very stylized, anime style, but it's not so pixelated like Tenjutsu is. But there's a lot of overlap in what those two games look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2:00. That's okay. We'll go through. Okay, so Summer Games Fest really quick. At any point, if you guys want to talk about the game, just jump in. But I'll just go through some games that I think people should see. If you're not hyped, these are the trailers you should watch and see if it gets you hyped.
I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped.
The First Descendant.
Yes.
The cinematic trailer didn't show any gameplay.
No.
But the monster design was incredible. I really like the style. It's kind of like a Metal Gear Solid style CG where everyone is wearing super clean, high-tech armor that looks like it's from the future, but they're fighting in these big, open, organic spaces where it's all just nature.
Yeah, the definition of it is next generation third person co-op action adventure RPG shooter.
I can't believe with the amount of time that we have left, you would choose to read that description.
And
You've
we're
got
out of
a quarter
time.
of the time. That we
That's
have.
right.
Okay, so Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh man,
Obviously,
we're all gonna buy it.
super
We're all
duper
gonna
hyped
play
about
it,
that. Yeah, it's great.
and we're not gonna do the podcast for a couple months when it comes out.
Yeah, you guys will just have to watch the live streams. That's the best I can offer you.
That's right.
It has lots of really cool features.
Yeah,
so
sounds incredible. All the new updates that they're gonna do.
It looks like the environments will change in real time.
Yeah.
Like at one point, the dust gets blown away and it becomes like prairie land instead of a desert.
Yeah,
That looked really cool.
incredible. Yeah, you can
I hope
open up
that's
your
not
map
just
and choose
stylized.
quests while you're in the world
That
rather
can't
than
be true.
It's true.
I'm gonna die of a
these
heart
new
attack
these
right
new details
now.
coming out, man.
Dude, that's actually amazing.
Sounds
I'm pretty
incredible.
hyped about that.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
looks
didn't think
really
I'd be pumped for it, but after seeing
Extremely
that.
violent. It's really cool. It's got
Give it to me.
3-player co-op. That's awesome.
Only a 3-player.
Only
Yeah.
3 players, not 4.
Your fourth friend will be sad.
Super customizable, and also like very fast paced for
Yeah.
for a Warhammer game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like rocket jumping and into enemies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Even like fidelity wise, it looks really good.
Oh yeah, graphically I was really impressed.
Yeah.
So I really liked the original that I'm pretty sure was a PlayStation 2 game.
Oh, I don't know.
It was one of those games where I played it because Space Marine looked cool.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
And no one else had ever heard of it.
Nice.
So it's cool that it's getting a sequel.
Yeah.
That looks good. Metaphor, Fantastic.
Oh man, you and me, Jared.
You guys don't need to know
we're all
anything
over
other than it's Persona in like Middle Ages. It's got a new combat system
Yeah.
that looks really cool. It borrows a lot from Persona, but it's got wholly new mechanics built into it, apparently. It sounds really interesting. Looks really interesting. It doesn't have the demons from any of the Shin Megami Tensei series.
Yeah.
It's all new designs.
Which is a welcome.
I'm really
change.
excited about that. Yeah, and the designs look really cool. They're all like armor.
Yeah.
They're all just different types of really cool looking armor that you summon, basically.
Looks incredible.
Cuff Bust. Where you're a bunch of space koalas breaking out of a prison.
Yeah.
Looks like fun.
It
Yeah.
looks like a blast.
Bombastic
like
fun.
Yes, it's very much like you have to coordinate to escape.
Yeah.
But it's also like super over the top.
There's so much chaos happening. I'm not even sure like exactly how it's playing. Like, it looks like there's 100 players at a time, like Fall Guys or something.
Yeah.
It does look like there's
sign me
like
up.
20 or 30 people in the prison.
Yeah.
And like you can choose to work together, but it's like however many people you can get on the same page is how many will help you. You may only have 3, you may have 30. It doesn't it
Like you said, they
never
might
really-
sabotage you
Yeah,
because that's
and
what it looks like.
One of the examples is like they break into the security room so that they can say over the intercom where the security guards are for everybody else to escape.
Yeah.
And then they like blow up a toilet to dive into the sewers or whatever. So it's like very over the top, but it looks pretty fast paced, which a lot of these games tend to be for me on the like slower side.
Yeah.
So I think it looks really cool. Very, very ridiculous, which is we're all into. And then future game show, Sacrifier, just real quick, is like a 90s style kind of pixely turn-based RPG.
Looks cool.
But when the enemies, and I assume you cast your spells, they happen in real time, and it's like a bullet hell. So you are in real time dodging all these projectiles from the enemy so that you can get close enough to then cast your spells, and then time freezes when you select your abilities.
Yeah.
So that you can kind of like choose, and then of course each one is kind of like Grandia, where it will like attack a defined geometric space. So it looks like a cool balance of real time like dodging and
Nice.
okay. Parcel Court.
Yes.
Parcel Court looks really cool.
Looks cool.
It is. I described it as part Crazy Taxi, part Jet Set, where you're riding a bike delivering packages. No, that's not.
Nice. Okay.
So you're riding bikes delivering packages, and you are like picking them up from different people and building relationships with them by delivering them on time.
Yeah.
Don't know a lot of details about it yet, but the art style is really nice, and it's been a while since I played a game that's that like frenetic and like Tony Hawk style mobility.
But at the same time, they're coming out with a skate game.
Yep.
Skate 4, not on my list because I didn't really see enough about it. They just had Tim Robinson in the trailer. A great choice.
And then
didn't show
30
much.
skaters on a half pipe.
Just like
and that was about
dropping
it.
objects in real time as people are climbing up this building. Yeah. I think for me, the last one worth mentioning might be Enter the Chronosphere. I think that game looks super cool.
Does look cool.
Unique anyway, maybe. Just check it out. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Was
You
that the
kids might
pixel?
like it.
Was that the pixel graphics one?
No, I don't think so.
With the combat where when you're picking a skill, the time freezes.
Oh no, that was Sacrifier.
That was Sacrifice.
That was Sacrifier. This is going to make me watch a trailer. I'm trying to remember what the art style looks like. Filling for time. Currently filling.
Okay.
For
My
time.
ones, my few that I just had
it's the Boomerang Foo /
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
where,
yeah,
like,
that's
you're-
right. That's
you're-
right.
Whenever you are selecting where to shoot time freezes, but otherwise there's like dozens of enemies all around you. And you're constantly like rolling away from them and stuff. Yes, looks cool.
Is Eric Sholm, The Stolen Dream?
Like a stealth.
I'm not sure. It's like
story.
takes place in the early 1900s.
I would say late 1800 to early 1900s.
Yeah, just looks interesting. Don't really know much about it. Graphically, it looks
You're
really
looking
cool.
for your brother who's in trouble with the police. You're trying to find him before they do, but the woman who is watching you, which is apparently not your mother, in the trailer, she's talking about how she tried to bring you into something that you and your brother decided you didn't want to be a part of. So I'm assuming something illegal. And now she's mad that you've brought the police to her door.
Right.
But it turns out it wasn't you, the troublemaker. It was your brother, who's apparently not the troublemaker.
Yeah.
So it's like stealth elements. You're like in the trailer, you're dragging bodies behind walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It looks really interesting. The art style is really nice. Looks very clean, very pretty. I think that game looks cool.
They did announce a new Life is Strange, so I'm excited about that.
I missed that.
Double Exposure.
That's right. Double Exposure.
It has the same character from the original Max Caulfield, so I'm excited
really
about
cool.
that.
Conceptually, that game looks really cool.
Yeah.
Your friend gets murdered, and then somehow you like awaken a power that lets you step into a parallel universe where she didn't die.
Yeah.
So you're simultaneously trying to solve her murder by figuring out who did it and prevent the murder in the universe that you're in.
Correct. Yeah. So sounds really cool. Another mystery thriller that I think is that'll get you.
Mondays. Yeah.
I'm excited about Still Wakes the Deep, but that comes out Tuesday, I think.
Wow,
comes to Game
soon.
Pass. Yeah.
Oh, heck
So
yeah. We'll definitely check that out.
I'm excited about that.
Sounds cool.
And then
Give him the last one, Talon. This is the big one for us.
Get out of here, man. I'm actually excited. Well, one, just real quick, is
Just real quick.
So fast. Let me sit here in silence.
I'm curious to see how the new Gears is going to be.
It's a prequel.
The prequel.
So
They said they're
puts
going
them
back
in a
to-
weird spot because there's so many features that they've slowly included that they're going to have to take back out,
We're going to see.
feels like.
They said they're going more horror themed this time.
They said it's a much smaller space that is very detailed
yeah,
and lived in.
it'll probably come to Game Pass. So,
Oh, it definitely will come to Game Pass.
Yeah,
So-
I can't imagine it won't.
but I'm excited to see.
That's
and
one
then,
of those games where I'm like, I'll play it. I don't know what it is or whatever.
I'm so
but
behind on the Gears like a little.
oh, me
I have
too.
no idea what that
but it's
is.
got Marcus and Dom back together, which is great. And then the last one is Atom Fall. This is Rebellion's new game,
Yes.
and Rebellion is who makes the Sniper Elite series.
Yes.
But it's like I don't even know what time period it takes place in.
I don't know. I saw this trailer, but it's muddied in with 100 other trailers.
So I'm curious to see what they do with it.
All I know is trailers and breathing, but this one, I don't know. So there's one that you showed me before we started that
Yes.
blew me away.
Yes,
That's the one I was saying.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up unless you wanted to bring it up. But it's called Ghost Keeper.
No, not that
No,
one.
not that one?
I am-
No, the
okay.
winter one.
Ghost Keeper.
Oh,
So
yeah.
For people who've been listening to our podcast,
Yes, dude.
they heard us. They heard us, guys. Haunting starring Poltergeist.
That was your
is
hit.
They're
getting
bringing
a
it back.
spiritual sequel.
It is.
episode,
called
right?
Ghost Keeper, and it looks it is literally exactly what I was describing. I want
everything you wanted in a new
So,
remake.
I'm
or,
Not.
or like,
They have actually done it. This is the third time because they're also doing a Dino Crisis, right?
no,
Or they voted that they wanted Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
That was and then
Capcom released their survey, and Dino Crisis was the number one out of 250,000 votes. It did 88,000.
So it's looking likely, not 100%.
that's a huge chunk.
yeah.
It is.
Got to be the majority based
was,
on how many games
yeah.
there were.
And
listed.
Final Fantasy Tactics is also confirmed getting a
Yeah.
rework.
Sure,
Oh, that's what you said.
you tell me.
That's what they say.
Okay.
You
But anyways, the
you
last
brought it
game,
up. You brought it up.
the last game that we're interested in is it called The Neverwinter, or is it just Neverwinter? No,
Unaware. Do not know.
what was the last game we just looked at?
Yeah, I don't remember the title. I just remember it had winter in it.
Oh, the Forever Winter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Neverwinter,
Yeah,
'cause
because Neverwinter
Neverwinter is a
I was
D&D
like,
thing.
yeah, yes,
No,
it is.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was confused because I was
The
like, are they
Forever
making
Winter.
a remake of Neverwinter? I was pretty excited for a second.
Your guys' confused face for making me confused because I was like, we just watched it.
The Forever Winter looks incredible. I hadn't seen it until just before we started recording because you showed it to me.
Yeah.
Like you are a group of scavengers trapped in a world where there are two factions at war with each other who have apparently been at war for so long that all they do is make war machines, these giant mechs that look amazing.
Yes.
But there's all these super bizarre creatures like the Cleaners, which are like these 20-foot tall women who just like collect injured people and like stuff off the ground. But so you have access to water, which is how you bargain with these people and stay alive. And you just go out on these missions in this world, try and survive. It looks awesome. Super cool. All the character designs looked incredible.
Yeah.
The features look really interesting. Like the gunplay looked really satisfying.
It looks like a time sinker. Like
Yes,
you're just going to get
100%.
lost in this world,
That's definitely
and
true.
you will be 300 hours in before you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is not a Game Pass game, which is...
I mean, that's fine.
But
I'll
if I only have
definitely
to
be
buy
paying
one
for it.
game after all these cool trailers...
That's true. Yeah. But it looks like a game for us
Yeah.
to play
super
together. So I think that's
It might
awesome.
be PC exclusive though, Steam exclusive.
That's true. It might be.
Maybe.
So crank up those graphics. Man.
Overclock here.
Yeah.
Turn those
Graphics
graphics up.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. I think that's it. Go check out those trailers.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, you are seeing parts of the trailers, but go watch the whole thing with audio. I'm sure they will be much more satisfying that way.
Indeed. And if there's anything that we missed that you thought was cool,
Yes, please let us know what games you
There were
saw
so many to take in.
at the show that you want us to take a look at or that you're excited about, or let us know why you still think games suck. Even after all this, you think
There's
we're
that
wrong
too.
and actually games
Yeah.
are bad. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on any podcast platform under Didisave, always. Check us out on TikTok or Blue Sky. We'll be at Didisave Podcast. And more importantly, if you have any questions or comments or feedback or whatever, email us at didisavepodcast@gmail.com.
Beautiful.
Other than that, there's only one thing you need to know, and it's don't forget to save.
Don't forget to say.
To save, yeah.